Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining June 2023's All Access Belize. I'm David Kafka, your host. And with me is my beautiful and talented daughter, Serena. How are you, sweetie?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I just got a nice light in and I cannot get it to work. So we're going to have to, I don't know, it might be a little dark as soon as the sun goes down, but we'll see what we can do. So thanks everyone for joining. I just wrapped up the 21st Annual Investor Summit on Sand here in Ambergris Caye, Belize at Mahogany Bay Resort and Beach Club at Curio by Hilton. And wow, what a fantastic time we had. It's about 157 of us. We got to spend really about 7-8 days together, just investors, business owners, economists, just kind of going over what's going on in the world and how you and I and all of our listeners can really, benefit from what's going on. And so, of course, the first day they kind of, made you sad because of everything going on in the world with the bank failures, interest rates going up, and all kind of stuff. And so what we wanted to kind of do is I kind of wanted to throw out some highlights of it and then maybe kind of talk about how it affect Belize. And so we have, of course, we'll take all your questions and answers, and all your questions, and we'll answer them. I ask you throw them in the question and answer box, not in the chat box. That way I can just kind of, concentrate on the question and answer box. And I am on my backup computer. When I was in Mexico a couple weeks ago, my main computer broke, and it's the motherboard, and I can't get an Apple store here. So it's gonna be on my backup for a bit. So hopefully you all can understand me. Serena, do I seem to be coming out okay?
Yep, you're doing real good. We can hear you pretty good.
All right. So everybody go ahead and throw out your questions. And then Serena's going to have a poll probably, at 1:30 and we'll throw it up, and then we'll have somebody that will win a book of your choice, and I'll give you some samples or whatever, and you can pick the book. But so we had George Gammon, and Serena will throw in the link, the chat, George Gammon's YouTube channel. And what he does is he does these whiteboard videos and kind of breaks everything down really simple for us on what's going on in the world and how we can really be prepared. So we know, we've had a lot of bank failures going on right now. We've had interest rates rising. I think they're supposed to go up in the next couple days, or they're going to come out, whether they go up or not in the next couple days this week. Interest rates, if they go up higher. And it seems like the safest thing to invest in right now is treasuries. The 30-day treasury has, been hovering around 4 to 5%. And so I didn't, with the summit going on, I haven't been able to check what the treasuries are doing. But what we want to do is just kind of simplify it and answer your questions. I will say in Belize, we've never had a bank failure. Local bank, let me stress that, a local bank failure. We have had international banks fail. The latest one was Atlantic International. It got caught up in the Sanctuary Belize Federal Trade Commission stuff going on. And so they lost their banking license, and Choice Bank was an international bank. They lost their banking license, but a Belize bank has never lost their, never failed. So the Belize banks are pretty fairly, safe and stable, while they do not have a insurance like the FDIC, like our bank accounts in the US, and I'm sure North America, Canada, and all that has something similar. But what we saw with the SBC bank in California, that the government went ahead and just, if you had over the 250 or $500,000 in the account, the government guaranteed that you won't lose any money. And so what they did is they kind of set a precedent. Seems like that they're just going to print as much money as they can to basically make everybody solvent. And it's going to all go to the bigger banks, like JP Morgan Chase just, bought a couple banks, and really it's us paying for it, right? Because they're not putting any money into it, and we have to take all the risk, but yet they get all the profits. So the banking system has just been kind of crazy right now. And while I try not to keep a lot of money in the banks, we do have, our escrow accounts and things like that. And what we do is we have several escrow accounts to where we can keep it, below the minimum or right above the minimum, by moving money around, per se, to keep it in a safety threshold. They do have to be different company names, otherwise, the insurance won't work, just in case, the bank goes down. We are not in a community bank or a small bank. We are at JP Morgan Chase. We were in Wells Fargo, but we moved everything just because Chase is a lot easier to work with, and now we have our private banker. So when we have problems or things like that, we can deal with it. So anyway, just wanted to kind of bring that up. There are no bank failures in Belize, like I talked about. We have a high liquidity rate. We don't have really the fractional reserve banking like we do in the States. So we have to keep, around 24 to 34% on reserves in the banks in Belize. I think it's 24%, but I have to double check that number. And you can also go to centralbank.com or the Central Bank of Belize. It's not centralbank.com, but Central Bank Belize. And they do have a quarterly report for all the local banks. And maybe Serena, you can find that and throw that up. But they do a quarterly report and shows you, how the bank is doing and what the best bank in Belize to invest in, what they're offering as far as terms and things like that. And so we have everything at Atlantic. Of course, Scotia is no longer here. Lord Ashcroft bought that and just kind of merged it with the Belize Bank. And so that's probably the biggest bank, and then Atlantic Bank. And then we have some credit unions and things like that. So there, Serena put it up, the centralbank.org. Is it .bz?
Yep.
Yeah. And so play with that. I encourage you to look at it. I'm always encouraged to see how financially set these banks are, how much assets they have on deposit and things like that. And while it's hard to get loans for, you and I at a Belize bank, and when I say a Belize bank, I'm not talking about Belize Bank specifically, I'm talking about a bank that's in Belize. As a expat, it is possible. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. One of my buddies who is an investor here, he is, he probably makes several $1 million a month. 850 credit score, just great guy. And he, tried to get a loan, and, they lost the paperwork. They asked for the same paperwork again and again. And so he's basically, like, never mind, I'm not interested. And so it is hard. And then we have like Key International Bank, but they won't loan on, I have a house in Placencia that's half wood and half hardy plank siding and concrete on the bottom, and they won't loan on it because it's not all concrete. And so it's kind of frustrating, to get loans sometimes. And the interest rates are not too high now. They're hovering around 10%, 11% for us. I have a small car loan and that small resort in Hopkins, Pomodoro. And so we do have a loan on that will be paid off in a couple years, and it's at 10%. with Atlantic, and it wasn't too hard for me to get it, but it was a lot of paperwork, So again, it's welcome you to our account, our All Access Belize. Any questions you have, go ahead and throw it out there. If I don't know it, I will find the answer out and tell you about it next week. We just had we see a lot of people coming in. I guess you've seen that JetBlue is now coming to Belize in December, and that's going to be a new city, and that's JFK. So it's going to help get all the people from the northern East Coast part of the state to Belize, on really easy here now. And then American is they're switching to every day from Charlotte. So they were doing a couple days a week, and I just got the memo that they're doing it every day now. So every day we have somebody from North Carolina, or a plane from North Carolina. So we do have quite a bit of people coming in right now, and the planes are full. So that's good. So I appreciate, everybody coming. It is costing more to get here, but Southwest is doing a 20 to 50% discount right now. So they're trying to build back up to where they're going to start coming regularly again. So if you're interested, you like flying with Southwest, check their website right now to come to Belize. They fly from Houston and several other places. And I have hopefully you follow me on social media. I just got a picture I downloaded from Tropic, does it every quarter, so to speak. And they're doing, so we have Alaska Airlines from Seattle and Los Angeles, American Airlines, like I said, from Miami, Charlotte, and Dallas. Delta is Atlanta, Minneapolis. JFK is the new one. Southwest is Houston and Denver. Sun Country is Minneapolis. With United is Houston, Chicago, Denver, Newark, and Los Angeles. And then Canada, we have Air Canada from Toronto, WestJet, Calgary, and Toronto. We have Copa, which is the Panama Airlines, TAG, Guatemala City, and then Tropic does Cancun, Roatan, San Salvador, and San Pedro Sula. So it's pretty cool. We'll post that on our website, and that way you can kind of follow and just play with the rates, unless you are a loyal fan to one or the other. So Dev has a question. So thanks a lot, Dev. So he says he's interested in Finca. How much is the investment, and when do you start distributing profits, and for how long? So, my mentors like to say, no investor left behind. So Finca is the largest resort, it's the largest chocolate farm in the country of Belize right now. We have 515 acres, and Serena's going to throw up a one pager, so to speak, to where you can get more information on that. It's a PDF, and basically we have not just cacao on the farm, we have hardwood trees. We have bablajote, we have teak, mahogany, and majority of the hardwoods are gonna be the psalmwood. And we just did a trip a couple weeks ago where we went and did a tour of Placencia and did a Mayan architectural site that we looked at and went to. And of course, we toured the farm and walked Placencia some and got to see how good the farm is doing. It was harvesting at the time. And so it's just it's more of a legacy investment, a diversification. We do have a low entry point. It starts out at $20,000 for a share in the 515 acre farm. And the only downside is you do have to be an accredited investor. So if anybody's listening is not sure what an accredited investor is, just ask the question and we can look it up. or we can not look it up, but I can tell you what it is. We start distributing profits usually the quarter after or 2 quarters after you invest. And it's starting out at about 3% right now. The farm is still not covering the cost, but we're offering the investors, a 3% return. And then after 3 years, the farm will be cash positive and it will go up from there. So our projected returns are between 10 and 14%, and those are very conservative numbers. We don't have the lemongrass in there. We don't have the vanilla in there, and we just have the cacao at commodity pricing. Whereas right now we're selling cacao butter, cacao nibs, and things like that. So if you come on the tour, we're going to do the next one in November, December, and it's going to be pretty good. So we're going to start marketing that in a couple weeks. It's $2,100, and that includes everything, right? Your hotel stay at the number one Facebook number one hotel in Placencia, Mariposa, the number one hotel, and the number one restaurant on Facebook and not on Facebook, but on TripAdvisor in Placencia. 4 days, 3 nights. Or is it 3 nights and 4 days, Serena? I think it's 4 days and 3 nights.
Yeah.
And you can stay longer. And again, we tour the farm, all your food, your alcohol. We do an excursion, whether it's for those that like water, we do a snorkeling excursion or diving excursion, or those that like the jungle, we can do a jungle excursion. We have a chocolate experience where you're making chocolate milk and things like that. And so we'll invite you. It's usually limited numbers, so we have room for like 5 rooms, so about 12, 15 people. So we'll let you know. So I think, Dev, I sent you the paperwork on it, so hopefully you got it. If not, let me know, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. Ron's asking, how are real estate sales numbers doing in Belize compared with this time last year? Excellent question. They are down a bit. And I think it's because of the inflation. I think it's because a lot of the interest rates are going up. A lot of people were getting, second mortgages or a HELOC and taking that equity out of their property and buying here. And so that has slowed down now that interest rates are at, 5-6%. But sales are still doing good. Majority of our sales are finance sales, or half of them at least. But we're still doing good. We're still busy. Our averages are a little higher this year. We sold a lot last year, but the dollar amounts this year are higher. Places like Placencia is kind of changing to a seller's market. And so it's really, the sellers are setting their price and they're getting it because we have a lack of inventory in Placencia. So that is, beach lots in San Pedro, and pretty much everywhere else in the country is still kind of a buyer's market on majority of stuff, but there are certain product types, that are a seller's market, especially like beach lots and all that. But it is still doing good. We are still busy, still doing good, adding agents every month, so to speak. So thanks, Ron, for that question. If you let me know which part of the year or which part of the country you're looking at, I can kind of give you a little bit more info on it. Dev is asking, what's the exit strategy once you invest? Yeah, so we do have a 5-year hold on that, Dev. So you can't sell it for the first 5 years. And then after that, the business plan is that you can sell it if you want to another investor or back to us. Like any investment, you know, you're going to have some equity in it because we're going to step up. Once we sell a certain amount at, you know, $20,000, we're going to bump the price to 25, and then we're going to bump the price to 30, 35. But also the trees are growing. So your trees are going to be getting a lot bigger. The harvest time is going to be, you know, shorter. And so if you sell it year 10, then somebody only has to wait another 10 years. So you should be able to see, you know, a nice profit on that. The goal in my mind is that it will be a legacy investment. It's something that, you know, I'll leave to Serena and my boys when I pass on, because once the trees age out, so to speak, we're going to replant. So there'll be a small replanting fee, and then, you know, then it'll start all back over again. It'll be a few years with no income, but then you'll start the income back up. So we have, you know, 85,000 trees in the ground. We plant around 12 to 15,000 trees. The first, I'd say 100 shares are gonna all go to planting more trees faster, so we can reach critical mass, you know, a lot sooner than waiting, you know, a lot longer. So one thing we have seen a reduction in is, you know, we have a lot of less travelers coming because of the cost. We're still busy by any means, but for instance, last year, early 22, 21, I could get on a trip. I could get on round trip ticket to Dallas for around $450, $470. And now that trip cost me $600 to $800 now, depending on, you know, when I buy it. Most like $600, $700 if I do, you know, 30 days out. So it does cost more for people to come. And I think that's why we're seeing, you know, less travelers coming. So our numbers are, you know, a little down. We had an excellent quarter, Q1, for at least for Mahogany Bay Resort and Beach Club. So, you know, we probably gave out record numbers to our investors, you know, to the owners, I should say. And so that's been pretty good. Dev saying, do you have something that shows me projected returns and money and when it starts and until when? Yes, I did send that to you. Let me know if you didn't get it. I sent it right after we talked that day, probably the next day or so. I sent it to you. I sent you the spreadsheet and all because I know you're a spreadsheet guy. But if you didn't get it, let me know and I'll resend you. I'll forward you the email again and I'll send it to you. So I appreciate those questions. And then also when you come down and when you all come down and visit me, I'll let you try some of the chocolate. We gave out a dark chocolate and a milk chocolate to everybody at the summit this year, and they fell in love with the chocolate. So we do have a great amount of the way we, what do you call it? Sorry, I was looking at a message that came in.
So was
we
I.
do have we do have a great fermenting process, and our farm manager is doing a great job. Hey Jit, how are you, sir? We have, how many shares we have sold are just the ones you bought. We have several at the summit that are interested, and so we sent out PPMs to them already, and then there's probably 4 or 5 people that are going through the paperwork right now. Dev Patel is one of them, and we're looking at getting them onboarded. I've had several people from Canada reach out to me and wanting to invest, so I'm kind of doing some due diligence to see if they qualify, because they're not quite accredited investors. But we're seeing if we can, you know, bring them on and just do it through a Canadian company and a investing in a Belize company, which will then invest in the U.S. company. So we're just trying to make sure we do everything legal. And so with me preparing for the summit and all that, I just need to get back to my securities lawyer on it and see if he can answer it or if I have to call a securities lawyer in Canada. Solar and wind contacts. Yes, I do, Tim. If you reach out to me, I can send you a couple people that we deal with. Pro Solar is one. They have the Tesla banks and they do all kinds of stuff as well, installs and things like that. LB in Placencia is an electrician. They make kind of their own packs, where it's solar and whatnot, and they'll run electricity and all kind of stuff. So excuse me. So just reach out to me and I can get you some of those, or if you want to reach out to Pro Solar, I don't get discounts or anything like that with them yet. We don't do a lot of solar. Most of what we sell it's on the grid, but we are there's certain areas of the farm that's not conducive for anything, and we're kind of toying with the idea of maybe doing a solar bank, if you will, with a bunch of solar stuff and then sell it back to the electric company when they start that process. Right now they don't buy it back, but they're looking to work that out to where we can do it and sell back all the excess. And this will be excess because we're doing it just for them. So great question on that. And then 40 acres in Corozal Bay. Ooh, that sounds like a pretty area. Yeah, I mean, it's a popular area right now. Corozal, Cayo. Ever since COVID, seems like people are interested in kind of doing their own farming and growing their own crops and things like that. So that area is doing pretty good. And there's definitely a lot of land out there. I purchased a couple acres out there already and looking to do probably some more and do some development in that area. There's a couple areas out there I like on the lagoon and things like that. So that's pretty nice area. Deb is an accredited investor per his CPA. What paperwork do you need, or do you have any paperwork? Yes, I have a letter that your CPA can sign off on. And that's really, all we need for third-party verification. I have a company that kind of does that, and he can sign off on it, and I pay for that for you. So whenever you're ready, you can just hop on a call with me, and I can even, I sent you the paperwork, and your CPA can review it as well. Norm, regarding Finca, what tax advantages would be available to investors? Great question. Our next All Access Belize is going to be Mike Pine, who is my CPA, and he's outside of Dallas, Texas. And we do have depreciation. So you can depreciate the trees because they do get old and die. We can depreciate the farm equipment and stuff like that, of course. Any of the stuff we build, because we can scale quite a bit right now. But once we start producing what we're going to be producing, we are going to have to double the size of the drying and the fermenting area. And all that can be, tax advantages and be depreciated. So we are doing that. What we're going to be offering to our investors is actually breaking down that number based on how many trees we have right now and what one $20,000 investment will net you in tax savings. Again, I'm not a tax guy, but it's how I interpret it. And the CPA, he's going to be the one that's doing our K1s and things like that. So you'll be able to deduct everything. And every year we're going to be adding trees and adding equipment and things like that. So you'll be able to basically do all your depreciation every year from that. So that's a good question. So stay tuned. Serena will post when that is. Next All Access, she did it already. July 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be with Mike Pine. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about any U.S. investor or any U.S. person looking to buy in Belize, how that translates to you, the investor, the doctor, the lawyer, what it kind of gives you as an active investment or a passive investment, how it can help you. So make sure that you write down your questions and come prepared. We're going to start marketing that right away. I've had a Canadian person on before, and we're also going to do the EQRP person, right? In a couple months, Serena? Yeah. All
Sorry,
right.
I'm trying to find the link for everyone to register, but yeah, so in August, we're trying to get Damian Lupo's, either Damian or someone from his team on that All Access Belize.
And that's, a self-directed IRA. It's the EQRP. It's the Ferrari of retirement plans. And so you can take any of your 401k money or most of your 401k money, your solo 401ks or whatever, and convert them to an EQRP. And then you can even add more than a regular traditional self-directed IRA to get better deductions. And so we're going to have them on in August. And then, of course, since this is All Access Belize, we'll kind of take questions on how to, or how that translates to you, the investor. So Tim's asking about desal. Definitely you can do a desal out there. You can also do a well out there. And I just got a quote on a well, and it is 6,000 to 7,000 Belize dollars. And they do all the permits and all that. And that goes up to 50 feet, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, it's, do you remember how much it was, Serena, per foot?
I don't, but I can find that out.
Yeah, it was, if you want to look while we're asking other questions, answering other questions, it's on one of the agent trainings we just did. I think the last one. So it's probably in to be filed on OneDrive or Dropbox. And then it has, so he said like in Placencia, in order to get good water, it's going to be like 200 feet deep. And he says, he told me it's guaranteed he'll hit water. Because I asked him, I'm like, well, what happens if you drill down and don't get water? But it is $6,000 to $7,000. And I want to say it's like $25 or $50 Belize per foot after that, or per 50 foot or something like that. But Serena will look it up and we'll do that. But a desal plant will definitely, you could definitely do it. If you're looking to do a subdivision, most of those areas out in Corozal, they're drilling wells, 1 or 2 wells, tying them together. They're doing a tank, a water tank, and then they're usually, providing water. I assume they're selling it to, the people that tie up to it. We do a lot of rain catchment here because we get so much rain a year. And so there's definitely a lot of people that are doing, catching their water, catching rainwater. There are some desal plants. If you're on an island, you're going to have to do a desal. San Pedro, that's what San Pedro does, is the desal. But it does come with a lot of maintenance, if you will. So, just be mindful of that. You need somebody that's going to, change filters and check on it and things like that.
I did find it.
You did find it?
Yeah, so I don't know
Okay.
if you want to wait real quick or,
Yep, no, go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead.
So you'll have to apply for a permit, so that costs around $500. And then the average cost is 7 grand for 50 feet. And then after 50 feet, it's $70 for every foot after that.
Okay,
Um,
so you can do the math if you have to do a 200 foot in Placencia, or, you know, I think the average well is probably, I guess it depends where you're at, but you know, 40, 60 feet, something like that.
We had talked to DH Drilling and Well Services. They're in Spanish Lookout. And he said
Yeah.
the success rate should be 100%. So they felt really positive on that.
Yeah. Okay, so Brad's saying, I bought 2 condos in San Pedro, plan to move full-time in July. Going to freight my Jeep and keep it on mainland for mainland transportation. Do you know how safe it is to park it long-term? Would be great close to the airport. So Brad, excellent question. That's what I do, right? I buy my vehicles from Bravo Motors, and they charge me $115 Belize a month to park it there in gated air. It's in a gated area. And what I do is I call them up or I email them 2-3 days before I head to the mainland, and they have it cleaned for me and all that. I would assume they would do anybody. I don't know how big of an area they have, but I'm sure they have enough space to do some. So you could definitely, you know, check with them. There are places near the airport, the municipal airport, that do it on a monthly basis. I want to say it's like $50 a day, Belize. But majority of these places have a long-term price. I know the one by the boat is like 300 Belize a month. That's where I used to keep it, where the San Pedro Belize Express is. It's $50 a night to park your car there. But if you do long-term, it's 300 Belize a month. And they, you know, keep it there, there's security there, things like that. So there's definitely some secure areas there that are guarded, you know, very long-term. I've never had any issues really. And I kept it for several months at the San Pedro Belize Express until I asked Bravo Motors, and they went ahead and told me they do that for $115 a month. And so I really like that. So Serena threw that in the chat box, and so you can reach out to them and check with them and see. So Serena, why don't you go ahead and throw up that poll, and then I'm kind of gonna look at my notes real quick. Just kind of Peter Schiff was there. Well, he was not there, but he was on Zoom, and you know, he was talking about, you know, comparing the great financial crisis in 2008 with what's going on now. And so he was saying that the interest rates were low for 4 years, and there was no quantitative easing, and see how long that took us to get out of the Great Depression. And he said, right now, we've had 14 years of low interest rates and massive quantitative easements and programs now. So kind of talking about that. We also talked about what happens if the interest rates go down to zero, or, you know, never go to zero, but if they go down and you can't get a loan. So he was talking about there might be a time where interest rates do go down, but the banks aren't loaning money. And how, you know, how are you gonna kind of do that, right? What are you gonna do? he was talking about how the government is backstopping and saving the banks, and why are a lot of the banks failing. He was saying that Peter was saying that, well, one of the reasons is the low interest rates. Like when you were getting 2 to 3% mortgages, and the cost to service those mortgages now are like 5-6%. So they're really losing money. He talked about inflation still going to keep going up. We did talk about the de-dollarization, how that can take decades to do, but we're seeing, how we shot Russia in the foot with, the sanctions, and now how they're cozying up to China and the BRICS nations. And so he did believe that interest rates could go up to 8, 9, 10%. But he also suspects that we will go back to a gold-backed, currency of some sort. And he is a gold bug or a gold guy. So he did talk about that. He did talk about we could have price controls going in. And so everybody was just talking about, have some liquid cash. Don't bet on the banks. Invest in real assets and just weather the storm if you can. So thanks all for all that. So we are talking about the rising interest rates. Some of you all are interested in the cost of living and bank failures, but the number one is the rising interest rates. And so that is a concern, especially for those investing in apartment deals and things like that in the States. Sorry. We did talk about, the bridge loans coming due, and commercial office is going to be going out and going to be going down some. We talked about the crime, how people are walking out of stores with $900, under $900 worth of stuff without paying, and how, so many stores are closing down or locking stuff up. So it was definitely a good investment and or a good cruise. Well, it wasn't a cruise, it was the investment summit. They are going on the cruise next year. So the dates are, I'll tell you the dates, and I'm going to be inviting everybody, because what a great group of people to be around when for this. So the dates are going to be June 13th to the 23rd. I can't really disclose right now where it's going and where it's going to be, but it will be a cruise, and they're going to announce it, here shortly. But jot those dates down, and then just keep an eye on my social media and stuff, as we will invite people. So Brian is talking about what type of water hookup is most common in the area of Caribbean Way for a household on a lot. What are most of the households doing currently in the area? Yeah, Brian, that's going to be rainwater catchment. There is no water in Caribbean Way. They are starting to redo a lot of the lines and bring it north of the airport. But at the time, majority of everything north of the Placencia Hotel is not off grid, but off water. There is no water. So most everybody are building cisterns in their subfloor, and I'm drawing a blank, I apologize, guys. Their foundation. So they're building a cistern in their foundation. If they're doing a pool, they're doing it under their foundation and doing it on their pool, and they're doing rain catchment. So if you're living there full time or renting it out, you want to make sure you have enough water. And then they're catching the rain. In Placencia, we get a ton of rain. So there might be 2-3 months where, it'll go down. But I got a lot of friends up there, and a lot of them don't run out of water at all, because their cisterns are large enough to where they are, doing really well. A lot of people are filtering those so they can drink it. And then some people are just buying, water and then just using it for cooking and things like that. I apologize, guys. So Tim, how is the Taiwanese government and investment in Belize going to affect the local bridges to Cerro Sands? So Cerro Sands that's near Orchid Bay and all that, right? So all that is being paved now. There's 2 bridges going in. It's still not done, but there is still a lot done that's going to Sartaneja and all that. So it is helping, right? The Taiwanese, because we support them as a separate government from China, they do support us a lot. They're paying for the hospital in San Pedro. So they are doing really well, right? With us. So they are, definitely a big investment. That's why we rely on money from the US, from Canada, from Britain, from Taiwan. I kind of noticed that majority of our money comes from Taiwan. The US government buys a lot of stuff, equipment, planes, things like that. But it seems like the Taiwanese gives us enough money to do the bridges and infrastructure. And we do get, we have a development finance bank, the DFC bank, that helps support these as well. And European Union is also. Donna, can you recommend builders for off-grid, single-family home, boat access only on Ambergris Key? Grinnell is one that is a very good builder. There's a builder named Hilton is a good builder. They're doing a lot of stuff in Mahogany Bay. And I don't have their contact info, but if you reach out to me, I can try to find it and get it to you. And they will definitely, hook you up. They are pretty busy now. There's a lot of construction going on in San Pedro, especially Mahogany Bay resort. Well, not the resort and beach club, but the private residence section. So definitely, reach out to me and I can get you, several builders out there. Majority of them will do off-grid. There's some Mennonite builders as well. If you want to do a wood construction, they're building out there, and they'll build on the mainland and barge the boat to San Pedro and load it up for you and whatnot. So reach out. But Grinnell is a big family, and Hilton is a couple that I know of off the top of my head. Very good. All right. Serena, any questions you have?
I didn't know if you wanted to just expand a little bit on the investor summit for anyone that wouldn't know what that was, and maybe a couple you had reached, not reached, but you had said some of your notes and some nuggets that you got, but anything else that really stuck out to you that maybe you could take in as an investor yourself for future projects and things like that. I'm really sad I couldn't come.
Well, they talked about taking action. You get a lot of people that don't take action. They just analyze stuff and then they don't take action. So they always talk about, taking action. Trust your own judgment. You get a lot of people that are not qualified to have an opinion in your life. And, we're out there spending the money for mentors and all that. And so, one thing I learned is that the average, I think, American that reads nonfiction books is less than one a year. So I thought that was pretty interesting when, all the successful people spend a lot of time reading. Traits that successful people have: they're curious, they're humble, they're generous, and they're responsible. So that was pretty interesting. What you believe and think affects what you do. Be a great problem solver. Don't make excuses for yourself. It's easier to be successful than to make excuses of why you are not successful. So I like that,
Wow.
that one.
Yeah.
Success is the best revenge. So if anybody ever says that, David, you're not a good salesman, go out and just sell the crap out of stuff, and everything counts. So how you show up and things like that. George Gammon talked about, just because interest rates are at 0 doesn't mean you'll be able to get a loan. A lot of what George talks about is kind of over my head, and so I'm still learning and looking at his stuff and things like that. What else? Let me go to one other. I started 2 notes. Let me go to one other one. And Susie is asking, would it be beneficial to open an American breakfast place in San Pedro? I haven't seen one yet. Man, that's kind of a good question. I don't know. I do feel like we have a lot of restaurants here in San Pedro. You can go to a different restaurant probably every day for 30 days without eating at the same place. But I mean, there is a place in San Pedro that makes egg muffins and things like that.
Real quick, let me interrupt you real quick. Do you play something on your computer or something near your computer?
Is that better?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. I heard you just eating at a different restaurant for 30 days and you'd still not eat at the same place twice, but you're just a little muffled.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'd be interested to know, for instance, like the coffee place, is it Rum and Bean at Mahogany Bay?
we're at Mahogany Bay's the Rum and Bean. They don't serve food; they just serve desserts. But there is
But
Cool Beans.
coffee
San Pedro?
shops, plays like that don't really cater to Americans like that. I think that's one thing that Rum and Bean does well, is catering towards that American coffee shop that you could still come to
Yep.
there
Yep.
in the States.
Oh yeah, the baker's one. I think it would be cool. If you're interested in just working morning breakfast, I would offer. Yeah, it could be cool, but restaurants take a bit to make some money, so you want to make sure you can survive, and location is a big one. If you're on, it depends if you want to. I mean, I doubt you'd want to be into tourist or something, or be attracted to tourists, because Americans get American breakfast all the time. But I think most resorts do pancakes and eggs, and they do an American breakfast. But you're right. I mean, I've not seen one. I mean, I'd love to see something like an IHOP or something like that, where you can get pancakes every day, all day long, or something like that. I'd have to learn more about it. If you want to reach out, I'd give you my 2 cents worth. Coffee shops seem to be doing good here.
Do you know the owner of the baker?
I don't. And there is a place, I think I assume they're Canadian, but maybe they're not. But they do Egg McMuffins. They do the McRib sometimes. They do a lot of They do poutine, which is the French fries with stuff. They do quite a lot of different stuff, but they do tend to offer, some American stuff as well. So that's a great question. Would he expand his coffee shop? The baker, I don't think has room to expand. That's kind of the thing, unless you put a coffee shop in there. I've not been in there since COVID, I think. It's not a good place for me because when I go in there, I gain weight just by smelling the food. So I try to stay out of there. It smells so good when I drive by it every day. So we also talked about, while we're looking at questions, and we got a couple minutes left, things we take for granted may not be here in the future. We tend to, probably, we do have some tough times ahead. And they did an analogy, like if you're stuck on a desert island and you're a billionaire, your money does nothing for you. Whereas if somebody has a bottle of water, you would do everything you can. You give all your millions away or billions away just for that one bottle of water. And so you got to have more than just money. Yeah, so there was a ton of stuff that I liked. It was definitely a great time being around with some of the smartest people that are watching the news every day, and not just the fake news on CNN and Fox and things like that, but watching other sites and then comparing what's going on and looking on both sides of the coin, so to speak. Jacqueline, once I purchased a property in regards to the Mahogany Bay private residences, do you have a full ownership of the land and the property and who manages them for you? Yes, you do. Whether you're in the resort or not in the resort. I've been hearing people say when you're in the Hilton, you don't have title to your property. And I can tell you 1000% that's not true, because I own 10 lots there and I have title in my safe. Now, there are the townhouses that you own shares in, or if you're buying a unit that has shares, there is a title there, right? So it just depends on how you're buying. But whether you're in the private residences or in the resort, you own title to the property. And who manages it? There's several approved managers. You just have to meet with them and see which one you like and get a quote, and they will manage it for you. Brad, if you were going to build on Secret Beach, would you build and sell residential, commercial, or build an Airbnb? I still feel Secret Beach is a little early right now. I really do. That's my personal opinion. I mean, that's, there's probably 24 houses out there and people love to go out there. But once you're out there, you're there's nothing out there. So for some people, that's cool. A lot of places don't have AC because there's no electricity. But there are places that have enough solar and batteries for AC. I personally wouldn't build out there right now. I'd wait till electricity, because I feel with solar, it's just a waste of money. I compare Secret Beach to Mahogany Bay, and the lot at Secret Beach is around 35,000, but by the time you add a septic tank, solar, rain catchment and all that, you're probably, 15 grand, 20 grand more. You can have a lot in Mahogany Bay closer to town with all those amenities, so that's kind of how I look at it. I do think Secret Beach will be a good area, will be the next area. It will blow up and there'll be restaurants and grocery stores, and I mean, there's restaurants now or bars, but it's a cool place. I mean, a lot of the group here went out there for a couple days and had fun and went from bar to bar to bar and talked, and and got to know each other better. But you know, it's I'm not sure what I would build out there. Maybe a laundromat or a small grocery store, probably, I think would be good, because there's nothing out there right now. And so, but it's going to be kind of slow right now for you. So I just think it's a little early. But that's a great question. Well, thanks everyone for, oh, did I see another one come in? No, okay. Thanks everyone for joining. So again, reach out to me for any questions you have. I do still sell real estate. And if I can help you in any way, let me know. I just kind of do more education, and I feel like the country sells itself. So I like to educate you and then, you know, help you buy something. See the links, copy and paste those links for Pro Solar and whatnot. Again, the next All Access Belize with Mike Pine, who is my CPA, July 6th at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, I guess that's it. Serena, thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the work you did on this. And thank you all for your great questions. And hopefully we'll see you around in Belize, and let's have a frozen drink together, or we'll see you on the next All Access Belize. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.